Welcome everyone to Returnal. Very first little bits of gameplay. We're going to be highlighting this on up from IGN. I'm going to let the intro go and play out, and throughout the rest of the gameplay, I'm going to go give you guys my thoughts, opinions, and all that stuff going on. We'll have the actual IGN link down below if you guys want to go and see without commentary. Make sure you guys are subscribed with notifications on for restock news or the PS5 giveaway going on. We'll definitely be doing a lot of Returnal when this game does fully come on out. So I hope you guys will sit back, relax, give me your thoughts on this, and let the intro go playing out, and you guys will hear me more in a few moments. And welcome on up to Returnal, boys. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a little bit of talking slash webcam on over this. I'm going to be talking about the game thoughts. I'm going to give you guys some more bonus information for anyone who may be curious on stuff, as well as we have the gameplay going playing on out. As I mentioned, this gameplay is going to be from IGN. I do believe all the review stuff has actually come on out over here. Just want to make sure the audio is all good for everyone watching this. So basically, if you guys don't know what Returnal is, we'll kind of let up in the background over here. It's a game that's essentially a roguelite slash roguelike in the same time. So there's a mixture of elements of both of these types of games going on. If you guys don't know what those genres are, think maybe like a Binding of Isaac, maybe like a Dead Cells. Risk of Rain 2 is probably going to be one of the best games to compare this game to, besides the fact that Returnal is AAA. So as you guys can kind of go and see, we have maps on the bottom right. We also have guns. As of right now, there's also a story mixed on in as well.
I have found a deceased Astro Scout here.
And now we're seeing deceased Astro Scouts, which is never good to go and see.
It's...
And now you guys might maybe go get the idea of why this game is called Returnal. So basically the whole idea and premise of the game is you're an astronaut, you crash land on a planet, and you're basically reliving the same experiences, same missions, same environments, etc. over and over and over again. And the whole idea and premise of the game, from everything we've seen so far, is you have a chance to go and improve and get better gear as time goes on, and you essentially don't get too many individual stats as like something maybe like think like a Dead Cells where your character progressively gets a little bit stronger as time goes on, but you do get to go keep over a lot of the weapon advancements and stuff like that with the game itself. As well, throughout the entire game, like throughout each run, because you have a brand new run every single time, you actually do go get individual abilities. Some things kind of like, imagine leeches on your body from this alien planet, alien area, and that basically lets you go and get and choose specific improvements for your character on every run. But also it does kind of come with a also bad thing as well. Basically it's like a positive and negative mixed on in with it. So as you guys are kind of seeing throughout the game, you guys are seeing different types of mobs, different types of actual aliens mixed on in, and overall just a lot of different other things kind of tying with the actual game itself. So we have this very mysterious planet, mysterious orbs, but the major idea for the game itself is more so to go and have this gunplay. You have this combat. You basically get to go and kill all these monsters, go destroy them, etc. And there's a big variety of different mobs all throughout every single one of these areas. And also kind of based on like a typical roguelike, think Binding of Isaac, if you guys have ever played that, is basically you kind of go progress, you go through the area, you get improvements, you get unlockables, and then you go and you basically go and defeat a boss at the end of the area. So you see over here, you're basically exploring through the stuff, you go get a key, and you kind of go from there. Some of the other major things to kind of note too as well that I thought was kind of a nifty mechanic, and we'll probably see more as we have more chances to play through the game and experience the game more, is that the bosses are actually, whenever you go and beat them, you can actually go and skip them as the game kind of goes on. So it also kind of gives a very nice twist when it comes to the game overall, where basically you're not always perpetually defeating the same boss, find the same boss. You can basically progress through the story and the game as time goes on, which I think is always a very nice mechanic mixed on in. And as you guys can kind of see, even just off the environment, it's very kind of almost kind of gives me a little bit of Metroid Prime type of vibes. You know, very, very mysterious. There's technology mixed on in. You're not really sure why there's technology, why there's statues, why there's all this alien stuff going on. But you see it and you're like, okay, there's some semblance of life. There's a reason why things are here. Are these things sentient? Are they not sentient? Do we kind of know what's going on? Why are they so aggro? Why do they want to go and kill us? And kind of all this kind of stuff mixed on in throughout this. So as you guys can kind of go and tell, as I mentioned, the game is a roguelike. So basically the idea is you kind of run around, use your weapons, go kill all these guys, and kind of go from there for the gameplay. You have a lot of different also areas mixed down in with the game too. We've also seen from all just like more so previews and preview copies and games and stuff like that. Everything with stuff in the game. We are seeing different other regions as well. So it's not only specifically set in this kind of like weird cave-like foresty type kind of sad vibes. We have it a little bit everywhere. We've seen some more red areas and different zones. And as you progress through the game, because this is also meant to be a story game as well, you have all basically that to go through and, well, kind of go get to explore. And as I mentioned, you get different bosses, different mobs, different types of mobs, different guns, and kind of go from there. Gameplay-wise, though, from everything we've kind of seen off the initial first impressions from other reviewers and stuff, I myself have not gotten a first impression thing. That's why we're using the IGN gameplay. It seems very, very good. Pretty much every bit of type of review we've seen from all the major news, major publications, etc., is basically saying this game very on point, very good. It runs good, it's smooth, the gunplay loop is very satisfying, the actual story very good, mysterious, even though you only get little baby bits and pieces of it as time goes on. Progression system very, very nice, it's satisfying. Basically mobs, as you guys can even go and see over here, very, very intriguing. As we have the fight kind of going on over here. I just want to let you guys go and enjoy the fight, so I'll stop talking for a second. And then right there is where you guys kind of go and see the Returnal loop, as I mentioned, so enjoy the cutscene. And now, once again, we're kind of back in the normal cycle, and you guys can kind of see why the game is called Returnal. So, as I mentioned, it's kind of like a Binding of Isaac looping game, Dead Cells, etc. Like, you kind of compare this game to a lot of them, where basically every loop is slightly different. You get different objectives. You guys basically, depending on how you progress the game or not, different story, different guns, different things to go and use. And one of the more cooler things we've kind of noticed from all the gameplay we've seen so far, from early reviews, early gameplay or whatever, is the lightsaber. There's basically a lightsaber as well. This is not too much of a spoiler. I'm trying my best to keep this mostly spoiler free off of what we're gonna be able to go and show. But basically, it's kind of cool because there's also melee elements mixed on it as well. which to me actually is always kind of fun gameplay tied on in. So very, very nice. You have a chance to go and scan new objects as you just have a chance to go and see. There's also basically, here's another upgrade, so alt fire as well throughout the game as you're progressing through it and kind of going from there. So very, very nifty, and this is that exactly right there is kind of why it reminds me a little bit of Metroid Prime as well. So as we're kind of going through this review, kind of like looking through this first impressions, whatever, I'm kind of curious for all of you guys watching, if you guys made it this far throughout my annoying voice, on what kind of your impressions are going to be if you guys are going to go pick up Returnal, going to go play Returnal yourselves, etc. For me, this game looks like a very, very phenomenal game, and I'm a very big fan of these types of gameplay loops. I'm really a big fan of Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells, as I've mentioned. I've never really played too much Risk of Rain, but I've seen many people play it myself, and I just think the idea of like a AAA roguelite or roguelike, whatever you guys want to go and classify it as under, is very nifty. Especially as well if you guys go and try to time it on into as well with your also story tied on in. As you guys kind of know from games, say like Binding of Isaac, there is always a little bit of story at the end of every gameplay loop, which is very, very nice. So very, very cool to go and see. And as well as, like I said, I'm kind of curious if you guys are going to be picking this game on up. How do you, if you guys would like it, do you guys like the idea of it, etc. We do have a lot of very good upcoming PlayStation 5 games in the near future, as well with Ratchet and Clank coming out very soon, Resident Evil as well. So I'm very quite curious on what your thoughts are. So as you guys are seeing from this cutscene too, this is our next major kind of upgrade because you kind of start off with the pistol and go from there. And this is kind of, first of all, getting your first weapon, major weapon for the game, and going from there. I'm still waiting to go see the, if anything I said, the Star Wars type style stuff is always very, very nice and vibe and all of that good stuff. I'm just saying, very, very nice stuff. So we have a little bit more as well for this, the very first initial gameplay, but you guys are now seeing also different types of mobs showing up right there, different types of environments as well that are being mixed on through too, which is very, very nifty.
For now, I'll change objectives and investigate the energy reading in the forest.
You also even kind of getting tips as well from the girl talking too on top of that. So very, very kind of nifty to kind of go and see how the gameplay loop even progresses through this. And also, as I keep on saying, this game just perpetually just reminds me of Risk of Rain 2, which is not a bad thing at all. And especially with this being one of the very first major AAA exclusives for PlayStation 5, I'm sure many, many folks out there are going to be very curious on how this all kind of goes. I think a lot of people are going to be kind of hopefully putting this in high regard. And so far, as I mentioned, the gameplay seems very good. The graphics seem very good. The graphics seem unique. The gunplay seems very good. The actual gameplay loop as well seems very good. And every review we've seen so far has been looking very, very nice. So I'm very, very excited to go and actually play this on up myself. Also, you guys can even see over here too as well. Here's a suit signal, kind of going somewhat tying to the lore, time to like exploring stuff and kind of seeing stuff as well.
They're showing my last moments.
So you guys can actually go and see from there. That's like actually from your previous body. And also here is another kind of more harder boss fight. Let me go and kind of show this off for you guys. And it was a little bit more of a harder mob once again going destroyed, but also you also can kind of see as you go and beat these stronger mobs, get better weapons, it kind of does basically make your run a little bit easier, which is very nice and very comparable to most other roguelike games. You go and fight someone who's a little bit stronger, you go get improvements, and ideally makes your run a little bit better. One kind of interesting element I'm going to want to go and see is how much good replayability this game is going to have after the game is fully out. Basically, when if you go beat the full story and go from there. There is also some other game modes too mixed on in, where they also do have like high scores and other things to kind of basically go and not progress through the story, but just kind of enjoy the gameplay, enjoy the gunplay, and go from there. So very, very intriguing that they are offering that, plus as high scores. And I also want to mention too as well, it kind of reminds me a lot of, say, games like Dead Cells, where you have a chance to go and improve your scores, improve your times, and kind of go from there. Here's another good example over here too with the proficient level that just actually got improved from that as well. There's a lot of really nifty things going on with this game. I like the really base idea, and as I mentioned, the very first, I think right now it's in the preliminary review session, so basically it's only like early game stuff, such as the first like 2 hours or so, give or take, for every game. And I think we'll have a proper, more normal review cycle in the near future. And 100%, if you guys are still here, I'm going to for sure go do a nice review myself whenever the game fully comes on out. besides just having this. If anything, I'm also very, just for side note over here, very excited for Nier. I'm going to be playing that all throughout today too as well up on Twitch. I'm very, very excited for that. But as I kind of mentioned, you guys are now, throughout just the very, very initial part of the game, somewhat understanding the stories and the lore of it going on. You're seeing your past self and throughout these basically caves, caverns, and you're kind of wondering why. Why do I have my old suit? Why do I have my older readings? Why do I have my old guns? Why do I keep on having the same, like, essentially deja vu cycle going on throughout my character? And like I said, it's kind of the pretty evident thing when it comes to the story and gameplay. The gameplay is probably the more important part, with the story mixed on in, so make sure you guys more so want to focus on the fun gameplay and go with that first. But as I've mentioned many times, if you guys want to give your feedback or thoughts on this, feel free to. My very first impressions, I think I'm definitely going to pick this game on up. It has a lot of good potential. And also just one major cycle I like to look at whenever I'm looking at games is I'm not a big fan of seeing a lot of micro stuttering. That's always a big, I think, hindrance when it comes to animations, gun animations, pulling out guns, shooting things or whatever. For me, that's always a really big thing to know. I'm not a big fan of seeing that. I'm not a big fan of whenever there's like glitchy animations, micro stutters. And so far from every gameplay I've seen on every review, etc., I have not seen anything of this sort, which is very, very nice to go and see. It's run and optimized very well. And especially when it comes to PS5 gameplay too, if they have a chance to go and utilize the SSD and make everything very, very smooth, I'm very okay with that. More so to actually finally be able to go utilize everything up on the actual PS5 itself. And also, once again, I'm very excited that we finally do have a PlayStation 5 console. Also, one thing to note, as you guys just saw, we do also see different types of events kind of going on in throughout this area. Give you guys a cutscene over here.
Scan is indicating potential for suit augmentation. Appears safe to repurpose. System integration complete. Performing a function test to confirm.
And that's what I was kind of going to tell you guys about before, where sometimes as you go hit certain regions and parts of the game, you actually do have long-term improvements on that. So basically, that's just a one little major thing over here. And you guys can also see this with that nice little teleporter to mix in as well. So there is also things that kind of make the gunplay loop and gameplay loop a little bit easier. But overall, very, very intriguing stuff to kind of give our first thoughts on. And I would love to hear your thoughts on down below. This game is definitely going to be a pickup for me. I think there's a lot of things that are kind of tickling my fancy. And I think it's going to be very, very cool. And this is also basically pretty much my very first impression. So if you guys didn't mind me walking and talking over it, if you guys want to go check out the actual IGN video itself, I'll have that link down below as well. Thank you, IGN, for letting me do this in the first place. And overall, I'm very intrigued on this game, and I hope it's going to turn out very good. But for now, I can't wait to focus on playing some Nier in the near future. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys are going to go get it, make sure you guys are subscribed for the PS5 giveaway or anything else going on. Restock news, Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc digital, Twitter and Twitch stream, and of course also the Weeble and Coinbase, always linked down below. Love you guys all so much. Give me your thoughts as well.